Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of XA Talk Show. Let's go to YouTube. Let's go to, actually, I need to go to, oh, hold on a second. I need to go to my YouTube live stream. So I need to go to my channel. I need to go to, sorry, I wasn't prepared because, so go to YouTube Studio Beta. Google always have this beta software, and the interface changes all the time. Then on the new website, then you have some old features you have to click to go back to old features. For example, on YouTube, the beta, I have to click to go to this live stream now. Why is it not sticking? Okay, so back to live stream now, and yes, I'm live. Okay, so switch back to the window. So we're gonna talk about, I don't have a topic in mind, so we're gonna talk about random things. So let me just start talking then. So I've been working on my JavaScript tutorial. Let's go to my JavaScript website, my JavaScript web dev blog, and I've been working on JavaScript on my tutorial for the past few weeks, and I started to write Emacs script, JavaScript 2016, 17, 18, 19 features. So these are the new features. Now JavaScript 2015 is a huge change. It's basically a entire new language. You have so many features, like over 10 major features, and all the syntax of the language also gets an upgrade. So you have so many new syntax. So it's like a new language. So JavaScript 2016, there's nothing much new. They add small things, So they added a new function for array, and they added the power operator, which is two asterisks. The power operator, this is very convenient because if you don't have that, you use the math.pow function, which is a pain. Then in JavaScript 2017, you have about 5 new functions, 2 new functions for string, 3 new functions for object data type. Then you have this whole new thing about async function, async, the keyword async and the keyword await. Now I don't quite understand that, but let me talk about, they are related to JavaScript promises. Let me talk about that. And JavaScript 18 also added a bunch of things. I haven't complete this section yet. And JavaScript 19 added about 6 new functions. So yeah, JavaScript is improving. Every year they have a new version. JavaScript 19, it's already final, but the full spec is not out yet. So JavaScript, the process, the new JavaScript version process is such that so every year you have a new version, and every year you have a new version, and the process is that people make proposals, and for a proposal for a new feature, and for each proposal, you have 4 stages for it to become part of the next version of JavaScript. And the stages are 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, when a proposal reaches stage 4, that means it's final. So it's going to be the next in the next JavaScript spec. Every year they have a new spec. So so if you want to add some new feature to JavaScript, you write a proposal to the JavaScript standard guys. By the way, let me change the title so it's correct. Today is what, 28th. Hi, Israel. Haven't seen you for a while. Let me pop this out. So what time is in Israel? Let's see, 9 o'clock in the evening, something like that. So Israel says, "What do you do for work that you have time to make all these videos?" I'm not working. That's why I don't have a. I'm not working. So I make money by online ads, which is about $1,000 USD a month. So I am living in poverty, below poverty, for the past 10 years. So, I'm making a new talk show. When you make a talk show, when you do videos, I always have these. I want to be popular, of course. When you are popular, you can make money. And I look at all the people, also including for blogs and on Twitter. And so wait, stream health is red. Why is this red? So, a lot of people, they get huge very popular on Twitter. I see some people, I watched them, since 2 years ago, from no followers to like tens of thousand followers. And that always kind of annoys me because I do all this work every day, quite intensely, but I don't get followers. While I see other people, I see what they do. A lot of people, especially non-programmers, they do almost like random stuff. Especially today, it's popular to do political talks, political commentaries. So especially against the social justice people, and they become popular. Tens of thousands followers. And so I'm wondering, why, why am I not popular? And also among Emacs users, I'm well known, but not. Well, so one of the question I'm thinking is that, do you really want to be? Because in order to be, there are many techniques to, the so-called SEO or otherwise, sales people, in sales community, salespersons, that's a huge market. There are thousands of books written about it, and they always have techniques like how do you persuade people, how do you do the marketing correctly. And I have studied them basically all my life, for 10 or 20 years. And all those techniques and or what you should do, how you should post on Twitter, social media, there are tons of books on that. And I always, it finally comes down to, I don't really want to do the things they do. They, for example, on Twitter, you post one-sided stupid opinions. You post sound bites. For example, a typical example is cat pictures. As you know, since like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there are lots of accounts. They become hugely popular, like let's say few 100,000 followers. By the way, if you are popular, you make money, because if you are, for example, if you have 1 million followers, each post you do, sponsored post, you make $10,000. Just one post. But anyway, so one example of being popular is you post random cat pictures, photos of things, strange things, weird things, or memes, for example. I always viewed those accounts as scumbags, uh, and and also those people who posting, all those photos of architecture or photo of cats or weird, photos or videos. Today you have short videos like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I always view them as like scum. It's like lower bottom of human society, because what they do, first of all their posts, basically all their posts, like 99% of their posts is copyright infringement. You go to YouTube, you find these cat pictures or animals or whatever. You edit it, you make 10 seconds snippet. Take the 10 seconds part that's most funny or something or weird, then you post to your YouTube, or you troll, go through Reddit. There are lots of, you go to Reddit, you get the most popular post, and you grab them, you you take them and post to your Twitter without, you typically always never with uh, credit, like link back to the original source. And and this kind of behavior has become so extremely popular. In fact, it's actually strange to say, where it came from, the original source. People don't care about that. They just want to, whatever, the cat pictures or architecture, building pictures or whatever. These are so technically, I mean, in some strict sense of morality, these, I don't, they are not good people. I mean, they do, I mean, they do that just to get ahead, just to get more popular. And it became so common, it's like everyone is doing that, since like 15 years ago. So you cat pictures and all that, or girls pictures. It used to be, let's say 5 years ago, there are dedicated accounts that just post uh, pretty girls, pictures, and they get those photos from, Instagram or elsewhere. It's, first of all, it's copyright infringement. And society, just you just move on. People start to forget that it's actually copyright infringement. In fact, it's so common, it becomes like it's a common practice. So that's not what I want to do. Okay, Israel says, I think it's hard to get popular, and you need to up your production quality, and also your desktop is too messy to get picked up by you by YouTube algorithm. Uh, Look at how Luke Smith uses thumbnails. Yeah, so these are the things, these are techniques to get popular. In fact, there are many YouTube channels that teach you how. Again, like I mentioned, I study this kind of marketing, psychology, persuasion. I've read, quite a lot of books, for the in the past 20 years. And I've been reading, hundreds of SEO articles. By the way, SEO is kind of falling out of fashion today. You don't see that much anymore, but it was hugely popular. But today it's more on social networks, social network techniques instead of SEO. SEO is about search engine optimization, basically meaning, how to get your website on the top of search engine, on Google. If you search a popular subject and if your website is the number one link, you make a lot of money, like few $1,000s a month. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that I actually know all these techniques. For example, use thumbnails, but these are things, that I don't really want. It's not something I'm so much into doing, because if you look at, I mean, you can learn these things. In fact, YouTube tells you how. Like if you go to, for example, here is a YouTube. If you create YouTube channels, they tell you, they have lots of tips, ideas, because because first of all, YouTube want to sell themselves. The more videos there are, the more they make money. So they tell everyone to how to make your, how to make uh, properly market your videos, how, the what equipments to get, your video, the camera, the what microphone to use, and so on. And there are also videos. I mean, there are tons of them. Usually like a pretty guy or girl, they talk smoothly. They tell you, oh, they have a good, smooth. That's salesmen are always smooth. When you watch salesmen, maybe car salesmen or on advertisements, on TV commercials, they should always be appealing to the masses. So all these techniques, but I find them rather, put off. I mean, they are like I mentioned before, it's all right to sell your stuff. I mean, of course, when you write a book or blog or a video, you want to market it because marketing is fundamental. Without marketing, people don't know you. So marketing is essential. I mean, it's a kind of essential in any capitalistic. Basically, all today's industrial countries, they are capitalistic. Wealthy countries like USA, including China, and Europe. So marketing is necessary and essential. I mean, as opposed to some nerds, some of us might think, oh, marketing is no good. As good as your material is good, you don't need marketing. That's not true. And book cover, what cover you use, what logo, logo is actually also important. It's just a fact of life. So marketing, I think, is important. But however, today on YouTube it became such a self-serving, extreme kind of thing. It's like you. So I mean, as an example, you go to YouTube. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Okay, so for example, I go to my YouTube channel. Uh, so I go to YouTube, and you'll see YouTube makes recommendations, right? Let me show you some examples of the marketing and why I find them rather put off. It has become corrupted. It has become into a nature of its own. Which I don't think is good for society. And for example, let's look at some of them. Game of Thrones explained. Okay, that's fine. First of all, for example, this one, censorship backfires on far left again. First of all, lots of them are clickbaits. For example, for example, today's video, I'm going to make a title, right? So I'm going to talk about, okay, today's XR Talk Show, title, XR Talk Show date, and we discuss about marketing. Okay, that's a proper title. That's descriptive. But if you actually use that title, that's no good. What you want to do is why marketing? What instead you want to use some kind of clickbait. Why marketing? Why all about marketing is wrong. You want to use that title instead. That's clickbait. That's no good because I look at my YouTube, I see all these clickbaits. You see, for example, Mike Tyson, the most dangerous boxer in history. The most dangerous, you know. Um, uh, I mean, on any kind of video, you see clickbait so bad. It's like Bernie Sanders is right about prisoners voting. I want to pick some examples. I want to pick some egregious bad clickbait examples, but I think you get the idea. On YouTube, not I mean not just on any person's channel and also on social media, but rather on the people you follow that you trust. They also they are also going extreme all out on clickbait, the clickbait title. I mean, it's true that you want to use sometimes. I mean, often you want to use dramatic titles so that you get people's attention, but it has gone to such a extreme degree. I mean, even people you follow, you know their videos, you like their content, but you look at their title, it's like that's not really what how how things should be. That's I'm trying to find, every time I try to find the examples, I cannot find it because yesterday is just like few days ago, for the past few days, like everything on my YouTube recommendation is like blatant clickbait. Then the moment you want to find examples, it's like hard to find. For example, Tim Pools, okay, I think he's reasonable. Okay, Tim Pool I follow. I like his channels. By the way, he's a basically if you want read news and not fake news, you follow Tim Pool. So every day, today, you know how it is. Every day you have lots of fake news churned out by CNN or MSNBC or Vox, Motherboard, Vox, all these channels, mainstream, they have money and New York Times, they churn out fake news. If you want to get a good perspective, I recommend following Tim Pool. He's got several accounts now, like or Timcast. Another of his account name is Timcast. But anyway, so he does news reporting. He gives you at least some kind of balanced view. Okay, at least on the other side, so I could and again, watching video is very time consuming. So but anyway, so you if you watch YouTube's, you can check out his stuff. But look at his titles. Wokeness will destroy 2020 Democrat. Diversity is plan backfires. Igniting. Blah blah blah. Buzzword forced to admit something something. All these clickbaits. And I'm in in this respect, I kind of get tired of this Tim Pool guy. Even I follow him, I find his content.
A couple days ago, Quartz published a story about a Microsoft
Oops,
employee who
hold,
they
hold on.
claim was openly challenging the value of diversity, which is a strange framing when you learn this employee was actually.
Yeah, so sorry about that. It's blasting into my headphone. So what I'm saying, yes, Timcast, because anyway. So what I'm saying is it
Last
has
Thursday, police in Winnipeg, Canada responded to a call about a hate crime. A woman had been attacked.
shit. Why is it auto playing? So what I'm saying is that because of the monetization, everyone is trying to focus on that exclusively to the degree that it's became abusive and out of proportions. That's what happens to social media. That's what all this social media made society became. Since like basically beginning with the beginning of Facebook in 2003 or so. Actually, Facebook did something good, but so it began like 15 years ago, we might say. So Ah, shit. I'm being stupid, now you cannot hear me. Okay, so how long I haven't been on voice? Oh my god, my video is so bad. Now I've been talking for 10 minutes and without voice. Okay, so you want to know my opinions about Luke. Actually I don't know much about that guy. I haven't watched much of his videos. Yeah, so anyway, I feel pretty bad. My videos are so bad. It's kind of you got this weird person talking about esoteric stuff, and then stupid videos like sometimes missing video for okay 5 minutes. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so let's see questions. Big source of knowledge. He is a big source of knowledge after all. Luke Smith. I only watched like two or three of his videos. I'm not getting much sense out of it. I mean, okay, so first of all, so I suppose part of his video is talking about uh, technology. I mean, like technical stuff, like how do you use like Linux tips, VI tips, programming tips, something like that. Like how to install and use extended LaTeX. Okay, learning LaTeX tutorial. Okay, and then he's got why is Latin worth learning? And linguistics isn't 60 years of old. So anyway, some of these, so he's like a nerd, a programmer, right? And some of the many of his topics, uh, I share, the enjoyment of many of his topics. Now, I just want to make some comment. Okay, I don't know much about his material, but I want to make some quick comment. For example, why is Latin worth learning and using? Like in general, I get a sense that I probably would not be too interested in watching his videos. For example, why is Latin worth learning? Okay, on that topic, just by the topic name itself, I know that he's not a Latin expert. You know, if I want to learn Latin, I probably go to a linguistic expert. And so I don't know. Maybe he is a Latin, or linguistic expert. So, but anyway, on the topic, and he used a meme. Basically this kind of meme is anti SJW. So the attraction in that video is at least in part not about the content of related to Latin or linguistics. Rather, it's about his followers. I think his followers pretty much like mine is anti SJ Gan. So it's about making happy of his followers happy. And also on the topic, why is Latin worth learning and using? That's a that's a clickbait. First of all, realistically speaking and practically speaking, Latin is not worth learning. Period. Okay. I mean, all things considered, is Latin worth learning and using? No. Period. Okay. So what is he talking about? Is Latin worth learning? Well, it's worth learning if you are interested, in linguistics. Okay, and also yeah, you know, and also even if you are interested in linguistic, you have to consider all aspects. So, for example, is Chinese worth learning? Is Asian Chinese worth learning? For example, if you know Chinese, I know Chinese. I grew up in Taiwan. I can read and write Chinese fluently. But however, I do not know Asian, it's kind of like Asian Chinese. I do not know that well. So is that worth learning? in the context of all things, with respect to, so is Latin worth learning, or is it more worth learning of Asian Chinese? Also, is Middle English or Asian English or Old English, worth learning? Like in English, you have this Beowulf thing, you know. So all things considered, what's your context? Is Latin worth learning and using? It becomes silly. Really, it's a clickbait. And so all things considered, you like, I mean, as far as general judgments, you have to know all these things. I mean, so what I'm saying is that I get the sense that this video, or in general his video, is kind of like the popular. It's not. I mean, with about. So what I'm interested, okay, my take on things, my perspective is that when I see something, whether I want to learn it, must be judged upon human history. I mean, in consideration of the entire human history. So when you look at of human history, then you think about whether some human language or some linguistic topic is interesting. You want to make a score of that. Let's say from 1 to 10. Whether topic X in linguistics is interesting, you make a score from 1 to 10. Suppose, if you can, okay, if possible. Then you think of whether Latin is worth learning. You have a score 1 to 10. Whether Asian Chinese is worth learning, you have a score. Whether grammar is worth learning, whether italic, whether Egyptography, Egyptian hieroglyph is worth learning. Of all these things, you make a score. By the way, when you make a score, when you make a judgment, you have to have context, like with respect to what. Now, if with respect to archaeology, is Latin worth learning? Yeah, so much more than with respect to, let's say, if learning Spanish or French. Yeah, if your goal is to understand archaeology, then learning Latin is far more worthwhile than learning, say, Spanish. So for each judgment, you have to have a context. But even without context, if without context, what is the context? The context is with respect to all possible criteria as a human animal in modern society. That is the context. Okay. So anyway, so you make judgment. So you have this, general context, with respect to human history. You make a judgment. So, for example, is Scotland worth learning? What's your criteria? I mean, if you want to if you want to, make money, or is it if you want to study interesting programming language aspects? Like depending on what your goal. Okay, then without specifying a goal, there is still a good criteria in general, like what programming language is worth learning, because for example, for each particular criteria, you can also ascribe a score. For example, the criteria of making money, as a programming, finding a job, that criteria in general has a higher score than, let's say, for the sake of studying programming language design. Because programming language design, that topic is rather esoteric, and it's rather less practical, as opposed to finding a job in a language. Which language is most popular, for a job, or which language makes most money. So you have two criteria. Which job makes money. That is practical. Everyone is of concern to everyone. On the other hand, the criteria of which language to learn is fruitful to study the aspects of computer language design. All the aspects of computer language design. That is also a very good topic, valid, especially of interest to us nerds. But you know without picking a criteria, I mean, in general, then the criteria of finding a job is more important than the language design aspect. Therefore, when you judge when you say which language is worth learning, then you consider these two criteria and also all the criteria. For example, which language is easiest to learn, which language is most elegant, all criteria. Then you can create the scores. Then you can decide which language is in general uh, the best language to learn. So you see what I'm saying is that you make a judgment, you have criteria and you have general criteria. So what I like in general, the way I when I say something or when I perceive something, it's usually I would prefer, ideally I usually the context I'm taking from is with respect to all human animals history, all the greatest works, all the greatest figures, historical figures, the greatest computer scientists, the greatest mathematicians, the greatest linguistics, the greatest incidents in, for example, in human history, the greatest evolution, something happened, French Revolution, the greatest politicians, the greatest person, things like that. So, so that's how I like, to make the judgment. So when I look at this uh, Luke Smith guy and his content, and my reaction is, nah, that's not someone I would be interested. That doesn't have much attraction to me because first of all, is he one of the modern greatest programmer? No. Is he one of the greatest? Does he contain the most? Is he one of the most knowledgeable in today's social justice, culture war issues? No. Is he well-known linguist, or is he well-known expert in particular linguistic issues? Maybe not. Probably not. Right. So he would not. I think I don't think he's someone who I would value very much. But by the way, that does I think he's that does not mean I do not respect him, or and if even possibly his videos content and his thinking is actually better than mine. Actually that may be true because, but however, he may not be valuable for me because you also have to consider, I'm 50 years old. I don't have much time. I'm not a young guy. I suppose most of you are much younger. So my time, what time I have, and what I already know is kind of different from you guys. So for a young person, for example, in today's world, maybe you are a millennial, young, maybe you are 30 something, or then you would find Luke Smith material much more attractive because you learn about things. You learn about like you form a culture, you form a community with him. Because he talks about different things of interest to programmers. Then he also talks about linguistics and social justice things. For example, this one, the paradox of documentation. So he also talk about documentation. So and his ideas, I suppose, is kind of novel. It's not. I suppose it's not mainstream. That's why many of my followers, you guys, also interested in him. So he would be valuable for you guys. For example, he also have this video, okay, in defense of pseudoscience. that that's by the face of it. That's clickbait in defense of pseudoscience because by definition pseudoscience is negative. So I suppose he provides some novel perspectives. But to me, okay, I'm kind of old. I don't give myself too many, 5 years to still do useful, still to be able to actually think, uh, you know, critically and not senile. I've as I only have a few more years to not be senile. So I'm already gone through these. My phase of being young. I have been hip. Doing this, following new trends. I've been through that. So to me, this is not. I don't have much time. The time I want to spend, for example, with respect to programming or math. There are some topics in math I really want to get my hands on. To be a, to be um, know, for example, proof theories, homotopy type theories, those kind of things. And for programming, I hope to write a compiler, create my new language, that and many other projects. Maybe I should talk about, what are the projects I like to do. So so you get it, so that's how I so you get a sense what I'm saying. So that is my opinion of Luke Smith. By the way, the first video I saw of his video is, I think, I forgot where someone recommended to me, or from some people I follow, is his video talking about when Linus subscribed to the code of conduct. So he made a video about that. I watched it. I think it's interesting, and actually I find it. Yeah, I find it interesting. But so anyway, that's my opinion about Luke Smith. About Donald Knuth, actually, I talked. There's one video, I think maybe about a month ago. You might check out, because on that video I talked, like the full hour about what I think of Donald Knuth. Uh, I rather not repeat, because it's a huge topic. Basically, I don't like Donald Knuth. Okay, that's kind of a controversial opinion, because when I say that, oh, you don't like Donald Knuth, then people have a lot. People want to know why. And also people will immediately think that, oh, you are just stupid. How can you? But anyway, so I did a video I went in length and in detail about what I think of Nuth, and why I don't really like his way of viewing things, his ideas. So that is about that. Uh, Luke Smith, Green Deck, says he likes Unix philosophy and terminal only programs, and his workflow looks pretty good. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose. I think one of his video he mentioned. I think I read from other posts, like he's a VI guy, Vim, and I think someone mentioned that one of his video mentioned, because I was doing Vim Golf the other day. So I think someone mentioned that he made a challenge, like someone convinces, if someone can convince him using Emacs, you know, then he would something something. So I made a video. A few days ago, I made a Vim Golf video using Emacs with Softlight keys. I think I kicked the. I think anytime, I think I can kick the Vim people out of out of their efficiency. So I did one video, but it was not. It was not squarely addressing his video, because I haven't watched his video. I don't know. But anyway, on the topics, again, I'm old. I've been on this VI Vim stuff for 20 years. Emacs. So I've seen all possible takes. All possible opinions, all possible counters, all possible behaviors. There's nothing. I'm kind of like old. I'm about to die soon, so it's not a topic that I would be excited, so, oh, let me show you why. Oh, you are wrong. I've been there. It's like old topics. So, so that's about that. So anyway, what else topics? So I was, so today's topics, I have Sao Talk Show. I think I already talked for an hour, 48 minutes. So today's, so maybe that's about it. I'm kind of hungry. I want to go eat. Um, I'm kind of feeling bad at moment because because partly because I talked for 5 minutes without without voice. And so the topics, today's topic is kind of become random-ish. Let's see, Sao Talk Show. Um, so what do you guys think? Any other more questions or like counter arguments or something? Let's see. Around 3 4 minutes. Big source knowing after all. He's a big source of knowledge after all. Uh, so Victor says, what's the difference between clickbait titles and normal titles? Most of the time, I can understand the content of the video, no matter how clickbaity the title is. Well, if you are still here, clickbait titles basically means they are dramatic. For example, in today's video chat, I might say, I talk about what is clickbait. For example, I'm talking about the nature of clickbait, or what is the definition of clickbait. That is my title for today. What is the nature of clickbait? But if I want that clickbait to be a clickbait title, then I would say, everything you know about clickbait is wrong. Okay, or in defense of clickbait. Okay, that's another title. Or why clickbait is actually valid. That's another possible clickbait title. So what is the difference? The difference is that basically the code definition of clickbait is you want to use a title that's dramatic. Okay, dramatic to a degree, that is, basically just wrong. Okay, so what does it mean, to something to be dramatic? Basically means you want it to be dramatic. Yeah, drama. That's what drama means. Like when you have movies, every like theater. The definition of theater. If you study, in humanities, there's a theater is one of the department, or play, or Shakespeare play. You have usually a icon of a sad face and a happy face. That's what drama is. Drama, is what TV is. Because when you watch a play, a story, a movie, even poetry, they want to exaggerate things. You want to, you know, sad becomes sadder, happy becomes happier, instead of being injured, you want people to die, so that's drama, that's what it is. And drama attracts people because if so what's the situation, like blood, gore, in movie they say gore, that's also part of the drama. For example, when you have a murder thriller, okay, or you have a scary movie, horror movie, where you have some murderer, or something, you want it to make it dramatic. You don't want to just tell a story. Oh, okay, this guy killed, murdered someone, and you want to show blood. You want to show, for example, a girl, being cut up in the refrigerator. That is dramatic, even though maybe in reality that rarely, almost never happens. But if your story is about someone, a murder, you want to make that, you want to do that as part of the scene, because then all the people, oh my god, look at this, someone being cut up in a refrigerator. You get people's attention, people want to watch it. That is what drama is. So instead of saying, okay, Star Talk Show date, clickbait on clickbait titles, or we talk about the nature of clickbait. That's a like a descriptive, correct, very correct descriptive title. But instead of, you want to use a clickbait, or like everything about clickbait is wrong, okay, or in defense of clickbait, that's drama. Then people say, what, in defense of clickbait, are you crazy? Then they click. They want to see, okay, what are your reasons, or another possible title is 10 reasons you should use clickbait, or you should not use clickbait. So the science of clickbait, or the art of clickbait, there's a lot techniques. For example, you want to one of the techniques is using human psychology. So why drama? So why does, when you exaggerate, you get people to uh, you know uh, see and pay attention to your video or post or whatever writing? That's part of psychology. So psychology study this kind of phenomenon. So then we dive into psychology, and then also marketing also uses psychology to study, to come up with techniques of how to get people's attention. Like people, marketing, they, companies have spent billions of dollars studying that. For example, about how a meme happens, right? The definition of meme, one of the characteristics, one of the defining characteristics for something to be a meme is that it has become hugely popular, like millions of views. Like that's why it becomes, that's a definition, part of the definition of a meme, meaning that everyone know, kind of online, knows about that. Like when you show a picture, everyone know, oh, that is about that. It's a meme. So people have studied, people have looked at all the memes, all the posts that becomes hugely popular. They have dived, they try to dissect scientifically what makes a post hugely popular, because that's tremendously powerful. Because, for example, if for example me, I don't have money, I live in poverty, and I want to save myself. I want to, if I can make a post, let's say once a month, that post becomes have 1,000, 1 million views, I will become rich. I will become, so rich. I'll become wealthy. So how can I make something, how can I be successful in making posts that's, millions of views? So that's what people study. That is why these corporations, this marketing, they have, these corporations have marketing department. They also have dedicated marketing firms, companies that specialize in marketing. For example, Google hires them, Amazon hires them. They pay you. I pay you, $100,000. You market this thing for me. Apple pays them. Apple always have great marketing. They are 1984 ads. You remember that ads? And think different. That's another, think different. That's grammatically wrong, but however, it's hugely successful marketing uh, success. And also diamond. A diamond is forever. Now, if you are an English speaker, you probably are familiar with that phrase. A diamond is forever, or concept. That was also a hugely successful marketing slogan, or today we call it a meme. Okay. Now there are books written about this. So so they corporations, psychologists study what makes something hugely popular. Because they want to study that because it is one of the main way to make money. Even if you don't have a product, if you can just post something, some idea, some concept, some slogan, some sentence of English that becomes millions, have millions of views, you make money out of that. Just and there's lots of stories I can go on. So yeah, so these are about marketing, and so back to the clickbait. As I was saying, clickbait is one of the element or technique or tactics for marketing. And if you are selling something, or if you are making videos, if you are writing a blog, that's also important. That's what I'm saying. And okay, so what makes marketing, so what are the elements that uh, makes a creation successful? Okay, one of the thing is drama. Okay, that's one of the element. Now I'm not going to go into give you like the 10 most important things about marketing techniques. I've seen them. Actually, if you just web search the most important marketing tactics, you'll find them actually. uh, so but I'm giving you some, I'm giving you the detail about the background, the why, who studies them, why is it important, the nature of it, and why drama, being dramatic is one of the elements and techniques to for why clickbait is successful. What do you Norman, good morning, Norman. By the way, Norman, did you ask me a question before? Like in some videos, I failed to answer something. Yeah, post it again, so maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we go for another 5 or 10 minutes. Then that's it for today. So today's main topic, I guess, today's Star Talk show is about marketing and clickbait. Okay, so do you? Norman says, do you have a long-term plan for writing your language or compiler? No, actually, that's one of the bad thing about me, because whenever I have a plan, I fail. It's kind of has to do with procrastination. The personality who does who do procrastinators, because I am one of the biggest procrastinator. I've tried always to. I've read. I've read all there is about that, how to the solutions. Like many of you nerds are procrastinators. I know, because you are following me, probably because we share many similar personalities or interests or habit. So I know many of you are procrastinators too. But I'm probably far more than you guys. So procrastination. One of the thing about procrastination is that you are a perfectionist, or someone who is ambitious usually tends to be procrastinators, because when we do things, we want to, like, we have, or maybe we think of too high of ourselves. We because we are ambitious. We're gonna do because I know, I think I know everything about this. So when I do something, I want to be very specific, this way and that way. you know we have big plans, but then there comes a fear of failure. Because then we are not successful, we fear that, so we put it off, we don't do it. So that's one of my issue, because when I try to plan, I usually don't do well. Because then, because for example, if now I said that one of my plans is to create a compiler, or create my own language, then I know I'm not going to do it, because every time I think of starting to do it, then I know there's criteria 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. I have a bag of things I really want to get right. So I kind of avoid doing it. So what makes me do something is something I do not have plan, or I do not have ambition. Like, like I noticed that with Star Talk Show, because every time I think, okay, today I think I want to, okay, this episode I want to teach you guys about geometric inversion, which is a topic I know well. I want to do a good lecture. When I start to do that, when I have that in mind, usually I do not do well, because then I start to stutter. I have a pressure. On the other hand, if I do not have a plan, if I do not, it's like I just want to chat. Okay, then someone mentioned, oh, by the way, you have this page, geometric inversion. I want to. So what is that about? Then I get excited. I talk about that. Like, I continuously non-stop talking about geometric inversion for 1 hour, and that tends to come out well, because I'm confident. I'm just doing my things. I just want to talk, and I know what I'm talking about. Then I start to talk about oh, because because this topic I know the topic well, and I've seen other people talking. I've read books or videos of other people. Some of them, many of them, also sometimes even computer or mathematicians. I think that's not, he's not doing a job. So I just want to start, and I just start to talk spontaneously, and I covered it really well, confidently. So that's one of the issue. So about doing my own programming languages, I don't, so it's something I want to do. So I don't know if I've actually finished it. I have lots of ideas. As for example, let me show you then. I mean, if you read my articles, you know that I have, like, over 100 articles about programming language design, syntax soup, Lisp, semantic noodles, and Doc by dummies, and so yeah, it's something I might do. Let's just say that if I actually do it, that's good. Um, yeah, so I don't have, let's just put it that way, because right now I have been, I don't have money to live on, so that is one big worry for me every day. Like every moment, like right now, I feel there's a pain, and I don't feel well. So I'm not sure what could happen. So I so I'm so part of the reason I'm doing video is kind of to have a record. So there's a record of me talking about my ideas and things. So RMW, hi RMW, I haven't seen you before, and Amy, I haven't seen you before. So RMW says, honestly, you also lose people with clickbait. Many of those clickbait videos don't have great moment. Not all though. They don't have great content. Not all though. That's true. But I also want to mention, if we are talking about in general, then that is not true. You see, clickbait, these corporations, marketing, Google, they study that, they do it because they know that's, this, the whole literature on marketing, They talk about that because it is something tried and true. I mean, that is what works for the whole history of humanity in general. I mean, consider the general population without any specifics. Okay, that's the context. I mean, for me, for example, for my followers, obviously, a lot of people like me, they don't like clickbaits. So for me in particular, doing clickbait is not something too good for me, for example. But however, that's not true. That's also part of the reason I do not become popular. I do not grow, for example. You know, like once you like I have maybe a few hundred followers. I mean, all social media and bloggers considered, maybe I have few hundred followers. I mean, on Twitter I have 2,000 followers. Yeah, like on my Ergo Emacs Twitter account, I have close to 3,000 followers. But my real followers who watch me often, maybe a few hundred, it's reasonable. Like let's say 500. That's a good, let's say 500. Okay, that 500 is like nobody. Okay, you don't, like for normal, and I mean even average Twitter accounts, you have few thousand, I mean actual followers. Or YouTube, you need to have, 100 followers, 100,000 followers to be considered like, like, 100 followers, like you have some audience. Okay, so what do? You need clickbait. That's when, yeah, for example, let's say you have 10,000 followers. You want to grow to 100,000 followers. What do you have to do? I mean, by the way, 100,000 followers is nothing. There are like thousands of, there are probably millions people with 100,000 followers. Okay. So the point is, you want to grow your own audience. So you got 100,000, I mean, you got 10,000 followers. You want to grow into 100,000. What do? You need to use some of the tried and true techniques of marketing, such as clickbait. I mean, we are not talking about going extreme, like a title that is offensive and insulting, that almost have little to do with your content. A lot mainstream people are doing that. Mainstream publishers like New York Times, they are doing that. So, but still, you want to be reasonable to use, dramatic titles or clickbaits to advance. You have to, you kind of, I mean, especially in today's situation, it's almost like you have to. So that is the situation. Yeah, you lose some followers, but the people you lose are, the people you lose are the really rare, very few niche percentage of the population. Maybe they are, professors, they are philosophers, they are accomplished mathematicians, accomplished professors, accomplished philosophers, or accomplished, programmers. Yeah, you lose those people. But in general, those people are not the general population. They are not the type who will give you money in the first place. That's also another fact about marketing, about making money. If you want your audience to be greatest philosophers and mathematicians, you will not have followers. Few hundred is the tops. Not to you know you know those who give you money tends to be actually those with millions. There are several accounts with, many accounts with millions of followers. Who are their followers? They are general population, many, meaning that many of them are just stupid people, just to put it bluntly. Okay, they don't know anything about anything. That's a lot of people are like that. They follow celebrities. That's a fact of life. So what I'm saying is that if you are a content producer, doesn't matter, you write a book, you do YouTube or whatever, or you blog. If you want to grow your followers, after 1,000, after 10,000, after 100,000, after uh, certain circle, you cannot grow anymore unless you go beyond, you breach certain, let's say, principles or something, you stick to. For example, if you want to have 1 million followers, your content, your main subject cannot be math, period. That's a fact of life. Okay, if you want to talk about, I mean, suppose you are the greatest mathematician today. Let's say you are one of the greatest mathematician, or let's say you are one of the greatest, let's say you are one of the top 1,000 great programmers, well known. You are ranked in top 1,000 programmers. Now, if you are going to do video, or writing about your programming stuff, you will not have 1 million followers. Period. You know, get out of you will not. You'll never have 1 million followers. On the other hand, those celebrities, movie stars, they will have 10 million followers. You will not even not have 1 million. So what can you do? Well, there's something you can do, because once you have sizable programmer followers because of your programmer content, you start to talk about something outside of programming, technicalities, such as you talk about the life of startups, how to make a startup, how to be successful, to be a programmer. You start to talk about those kind of things, what language to learn. Basically, you start to talk about things that's not really technical, that not really have real, technical, valid technical answers or scientific answers. That's what happens. And this way of progress is, in fact, a lot of people become popular. They start, some people do, programming Linux reviews. For example, they start out as Linux reviews or programming language reviews. Some people start with keyboard, programming keyboard or gaming keyboard reviews. Then they reach certain audience size. Then they want to grow. They start to, they start to do other things, and oftentimes they became, clickbait. They became spam. Their content degenerate. They start to do like, one video every day or 3 videos every day, like the Tim Pool guy. you know and for the original followers, you start to see their content. You they don't, you don't want to follow them anymore. But that's a fact of life. But to them, they are actually growing. They grow, from 10,000 to 100,000 followers. That's, they make 10 times more money. That's what they need to do. If you are in the same boat, you are more likely, to do the same. So it is a unfortunate fact of life. That's just how things are. There's nothing you can do about that. So do I think? Do you have any long term? Victor says, do you think there are any ethical problems with using dramatic titles and marketing tricks? No, not if your clickbait becomes so extreme. Like normal clickbait. Clickbait is a new jargon that began about 10 years ago. Okay, but however, the concept, the practice exists. Like long time. I think it exists the moment when there's publishing. So I mean, clickbait is, clickbait, the name itself is like is a clickbait. Okay, so it's a jargon invented 10 years ago. But anyway, the point is the essence of clickbait. Basically, it means dramatic, being dramatic. Now that is with us, ever since um, storytelling started, verbally, orally. We older generation tells a story to the new generation. We when we tell a story, the story becomes dramatic and more dramatic, and that's how you attract audience. So do I think that's an ethical problem? Not really. I mean, because that's how things are. That's how human behaviors, how we behave, how we react to drama, and it's kind of it's part of it's natural. It's with us. Okay, not there's really nothing wrong with being dramatic, because when you tell a story, you know that's what drama, theater, movies, stories, fictions, plays, Shakespeare's plays. You look at Shakespeare's plays, they are all dramatic. So so being dramatic is not itself a problem, but it kind of the clickbait kind of became a problem today because of social media, because we get into the new technology, the technology we got into this social media era, this artificial intelligence era, where digital things like social media, writings, posts, they can influence the whole society to a degree. They create civil war. They create wars between countries. From online information. Fake news. Info war. You are familiar with that, right? And clickbait is part of that, because for example, New York Times. New York Times is a number one respected publisher, in much of history. But however, today they have become, it's my opinion, okay, they have become clickbait. Have become a manufacturer, factory of fake news, and much of their, I mean, basically all their posts, all titles are clickbait. So is clickbait a problem? Well, so ethical, it's an ethical issue. Yes, I mean it's because you know, originally it's not an issue, but today, in today's social media era, this digital era, artificial intelligence era, they become. I think it has become a problem. Not just the clickbait concept itself, but as part of the whole fake news. The digital websites, the information, how they can be manipulated, to create uh, to actually have significant consequences, such as war between nations, or civil war, or you know I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with that situation. So I think that's it. Anything else? I'm going to, I'm kind of hungry, and I'm going to get something to eat. Anything else? Like, you have to say within 10 minutes. I mean 10 seconds. Otherwise, I don't see your comments, and that would be it for today. All right, thank you. Okay, so Victor says, all right, thanks, bye. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in next one. Thank you, RMW. Uh, hey, Norman, have a good day, guys.